I'm Caroline, a 27-year-old housewife. I've been married for 2 years to my husband Lucas, who's the same age as me. We finally moved into a house we started building right after getting married, and life has settled down a bit. Lucas and I met at work. We were fortunate to work at a great company where overtime was rare, so when we first started dating, we had plenty of time for each other. We moved in together pretty quickly and got married after 3 years. Our plan was to have kids once we settled into our new home, so I left my job to focus solely on homemaking. After I quit, I thought life would get easier, but Lucas started working late more frequently. I asked him what was going on, and he said he was dealing with issues at various clients. I noticed that he had been looking more stressed lately. To help him, I made sure everything was ready for him when he got home, even cooking meals he would enjoy. But his attitude started getting worse. He would sometimes shout, "Why are you making the same meals? If you know I'm coming home tired, you should prepare some snacks to go with my drink." I had never seen this side of Lucas, so I apologized and promised to prepare what he wanted next time. I couldn't help but wonder if work was really causing this change in him. When I thought about the company where I used to work, I never thought they would push people this hard to work. As Lucas started working more and more on holidays, I thought maybe I should check with the company about this. However, when I confirmed the facts about overtime with my friend and former colleague Kaylee, she said, "What? There's hardly any overtime. Everyone leaves on time, just like when you, Caroline, were here." Nothing seemed to have changed with Lucas at work either, which left me increasingly confused. However, soon after that, his late nights began to decrease, and gradually the old Lucas came back. So I decided not to dig too deep into it, thinking it might just be stress accumulation. From then on, there were a few nights when he came back late, but I assumed he was probably out drinking to relieve stress, and I decided not to make a big deal out of it, and waited for him to come home as usual. Half a year after all that drama, my dad got sick. The prognosis wasn't good, so I was thinking about having him stay with us since we lived close to my parents' home. I had lost my mom when I was a student, and it had been just me and Dad ever since. He had funded my college education, and I was extremely grateful. I had always felt supported by him and wanted to spend his final days together. I decided to discuss it with Lucas. We had designed our new home to be accessible, anticipating future caregiving needs for our parents, so I naturally assumed Lucas would welcome my dad. But when I brought it up, Lucas blurted out, "What? Why do we have to take in your dad? We don't even have kids yet. And you want to move him in before that? Unacceptable." His harsh words took me by surprise. "But Dad doesn't have much time left," I tried to explain, my voice shaking. "I don't care. Your family home is close. You can just visit him there." He dismissed me. So what was the point of making our home caregiving friendly? I thought that was for both our parents, I argued. But Lucas said, "No, that's for my parents. You're my wife, so you should be looking after my family. Usually people only start taking care of their parents once their kids are grown. Why did your dad have to get sick so soon? My parents aren't like yours, burdening others." I broke down crying. I'd been holding back tears from the moment we found out about my dad's prognosis, but Lucas's cruel words broke me. "If you're going to cry, I don't care. I'm the one paying the mortgage. I make the decisions. If you can't agree, we're getting a divorce. Pack your stuff and get out," Lucas shouted. So I grabbed the essentials and left, going back to live at my parents' place for a while. My dad was concerned, but I assured him, "Lucas says he's fine on his own, so don't worry." My dad responded, "Well, if Lucas says he's okay, then maybe you should go back to him." I couldn't bring myself to tell my dad that Lucas had refused to help, so I just said, "I'll be staying away for a little while." Then after a few weeks back home, Lucas sent me a text. "There's a notice about community association dues. Apparently someone will be collecting them this Sunday. I don't want to deal with it, so you handle it," it read. Though his tone angered me, I was on good terms with the community association president, so it would have seemed odd to be absent during the collection. I went back. After settling the community dues, Lucas immediately said, "Now that you're done, go back to your parents' house. You're just in the way here." and so he tried to send me away again. But when I returned home after being away for a few weeks, something felt off. Freshly laundered clothes neatly hung up, dishes put away. Above all, the house was cleaner than usual. Could Lucas, who can't even clean properly when I'm away for a few days, really manage to keep things so orderly? I also found it odd that his work shirts were hanging perfectly wrinkle-free. "Lucas, you've never used an iron. How did you get these shirts so nice?" I asked, noticing his eyes darting away for a second.
"Well, someone's got to do it if no one else is around, right?"
Feeling his nervous energy, I decided to push further. "Really? It's like someone's been here," I said. Ignoring my husband's glare, I headed to the bathroom, the best place to find any evidence. I called Lucas over and pointed at a long strand of hair on the bathroom counter. "Whose hair is this?" It wasn't Lucas's, and my own hair is a bright short cut. The strand was long and black, clearly not ours. Lucas stumbled over his words.
"I have no idea. Must have gotten stuck to my clothes or something."
Seeing his shaky reaction, I felt more certain, but I chose to hold my tongue until I had concrete proof or a confession from Lucas. So I went back to my parents' house. My father's health had somewhat stabilized, so I decided to start working from home. It was a different field from my previous job, and while there were many new things to learn, I found it fulfilling. Given that I also needed to take care of my dad, this flexible job was a lifesaver. In a way, I started to think that my spat with Lucas had a silver lining. He let me spend quality time with my dad and focus on my own career. But just when I thought life was getting stable, another text from Lucas popped up.
"Dad's in the hospital. Need you to come help Mom."
What happened to all his talk about not worrying about his own parents? Certainly, I had no intention of granting his request. "Why should I help? You said your parents wouldn't be a burden, remember?" I replied in a cold, unemotional text. He called me right away, saying,
"Come on, it's a sudden situation. Can't you take care of them for a bit?"
"I'm busy caring for my own father. Weren't you the one who kicked me out? What are you talking about now?" I shot back and hung up. Another call came through.
"Stop this nonsense. You can't keep avoiding home. You'll need me sooner or later. Just come back already."
He sounded even more frantic than before. Sighing, I responded, "I can manage just fine without you. I found a job." And I hung up again. The next day, Lucas showed up at my parents' house.
"My parents are moving in with me, and Mom after Dad gets out of the hospital. Please come help. They said they'd be okay if you were there."
I couldn't believe my ears. So his parents were planning on relying on me all along. And yet Lucas was the one who had told me to leave. "I'm sorry, but I can't take care of them. It's your house, you handle it. Isn't that why you made it accessible?" I tried to dismiss him, but he wouldn't back down. Finally, I'd had enough and showed him the divorce papers I'd prepared. "Now there's no reason for me to care for your parents, is there?"
"What the hell? So you'd rather divorce me than take care of my parents?"
he yelled. I showed him some incriminating photos I'd obtained earlier. "Kathy, my former colleague, sent these to me. She noticed you coming home late and checked up on you." The photos showed him happily bar-hopping with young women. He grabbed them, flustered, but there was no getting out of this. "I'll be claiming alimony in the divorce, just so you know." Just then, a voice from the car in the parking lot. It was his mother, Olive. "Lucas, hurry up and bring Caroline. I need her to help with dinner." Apparently, Olive had moved in already, and had Lucas forcibly fetch me. Hearing Olive's voice, I told Lucas, "Why don't you show this evidence to your mom? Maybe then she'll understand why I'm not coming back." Lucas quickly pocketed the photo he'd snatched from me.
"Stop it. You wouldn't do something like this, would you?"
His eyes welled up with tears. "You made me into someone like this. Plus, I have another photo." I shot back, flashing him the second photo before heading toward the car where Olive was sitting. "Long time no see, Olive. I was just about to be volunteered by Lucas to take care of everyone. Let me make this clear. I'm not up for that role." Olive got annoyed at my tone. "What's with the attitude? You're my son's wife. You can't just refuse to help with family responsibilities." I gave Lucas a pointed look. Lucas, thinking I might expose his affair, started to calm things down.
Mom, Caroline seems busy. Let's go home for now.
Olive wasn't satisfied. Lucas, you were just saying how she's a terrible wife for leaving to stay at her parents' home. What's gotten into you? Why am I the only bad guy here? Hearing that, I sighed. Lucas, sensing danger, tried to get into the driver's seat.
Let's just go home already.
But Olive wouldn't back down. Caroline, you need to come too. If you don't help, who will? That won't be possible. I'm planning on filing for divorce, I said, and started to walk back toward the house. Olive got out of the car to stop me. What do you mean? You're being so selfish. The one who's selfish is your son. I'll be submitting these photos as evidence, and will be seeking compensation. I showed her, freezing Olive in her tracks. Lucas hastily snatched the photo from Olive, but the damage was done. Olive confronted Lucas, but he remained silent, unable to come up with an excuse. If we're clear, please leave, I said, and walked into my house. Later, Lucas did apologize, but I'm not forgiving him, and am in the process of filing for divorce. Turns out Lucas's brother was supposed to be the one taking care of their parents, but due to his own infidelity, he had divorced his wife, and seemingly vanished with his affair partner. Like brother, both are cheaters. It's just pathetic. Lucas's parents had apparently turned to Lucas and me for help, taking the place of my brother, but that didn't work out either. In the end, Lucas couldn't take care of his parents and decided to place them in a facility. It wasn't just because it was tough handling it alone. The woman he was having an affair with said, I'm living here now, so your parents can't move in. So his parents demanded a facility that met their preferences. Lucas did find a place that satisfied them, but the cost for admission and ongoing fees were pretty steep. Just as he was determined to work harder, his company found out about the affair, and he had to quit his job. Now he's frantically searching for another job. By the way, it turns out he has a child with the woman he was having an affair with. I had no intention of feeling any sympathy for him, as he struggled with the upcoming child-rearing expenses, the compensation money for me, and the cost for his parents' facility. I had a lawyer report the affair to the woman's company, and it seems she was fired too. I've returned to work, and my colleagues, who knew about the situation, welcomed me warmly. Now, I'm enjoying a peaceful life with my father at my childhood home.